Welcome to Encore of Legends. I'm Kevin. Here we honor legendary figures whose stories continue to inspire beyond their final curtain. From film and music to sports and culture, we revisit their journeys, achievements, and unforgettable moments. Join us in celebrating lives that left a lasting impact and continue inspiring generations around the world. Josh Merrow was a disciplined and hardworking athlete who built his reputation through consistency, determination, and a strong sense of character. Born on November 8, 1990 in St. Albans, England, he moved to the United States as a young child and grew up in Texas, where football became a major part of his life. At LD Bell High School, he quickly stood out as a defensive player, known for his tackling ability and strong performances on the field. He later attended Stanford University, where he balanced academics with athletics and continued to develop his skills as a defensive lineman, earning respect for his work ethic and team-first attitude. Although he went undrafted in 2014, he stayed committed to his goal and worked his way into the NFL through persistence and effort, spending time with multiple teams including the Steelers, Cardinals, Giants, and others. Over his career, he appeared in 80 games, started 40, and contributed more than 130 tackles along with sacks and key defensive plays that made him a reliable presence on the roster. Beyond football, he was described by those close to him as grounded, family-oriented, and deeply faithful. Josh Merrow passed away on April 23, 2026 at the age of 35, and his family has not publicly shared the cause of death. He is remembered for his resilience, quiet strength, and the impact he left on teammates and those who knew him. Greg Keane, born July 10, 1949, built a creative career that moved naturally between music, radio, and writing. He first gained wide recognition as the frontman of the Greg Keane Band, delivering energetic, guitar-focused rock that fit perfectly into early 1980s radio. His songs, including the breakup song They Don't Write 'Em and Jeopardy, stood out for their catchy hooks and a blend of humor, emotion, and straightforward storytelling that made them memorable long after their release. As his music career evolved, he also found a strong connection with audiences through radio, where his relaxed, friendly presence and deep appreciation for classic rock helped him build a loyal listener base. Later, he turned toward writing, publishing horror and suspense novels that revealed a more imaginative and darker side of his creativity, showing his ability to move beyond music into storytelling in another form. Over time, his life reflected a steady sense of curiosity and reinvention, always exploring new ways to express ideas and connect with people. Greg Keane passed away at the age of 75. After living with Alzheimer's disease, leaving behind a legacy shaped by versatility and passion. His work continues to live on through his music, broadcasts, and writing, remembered by fans who appreciated his genuine creative spirit. Donald Regal was a long-serving American public servant and former U.S. congressman who passed away at the age of 92. Born in Flint, Michigan, he maintained a lifelong connection to his hometown, which influenced his deep interest in community-focused work and public service. He began his political journey in the 1960s and went on to serve in Congress for nearly 3 decades, working during the terms of several U.S. presidents. Over time, he also made a notable shift in his political alignment, moving from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, reflecting his evolving views on national issues. Throughout his career, he focused on policies that supported working families, veterans, and broader efforts to improve public welfare. He was widely recognized for staying grounded in the concerns of everyday citizens and for keeping close ties to the people and places he represented. After his passing, tributes were shared by colleagues and community members who remembered him as a dedicated and steady advocate for public service. In his honor, flags were lowered in parts of Genesee County, reflecting the respect he earned over decades of work. His legacy remains tied to long-term civic commitment and his contributions to American political life. Carl Weathers was born on January 14, 1948, and began his early journey in sports long before he became known in entertainment. He developed discipline and strength as a college football player for the San Diego State Aztecs. His athletic path later took him to professional teams including the Oakland Raiders and the BC Lions, where he built the physicality and confidence that would later shape his screen presence. After leaving sports, he moved into acting and quickly stood out for his strong and commanding performances. He became widely recognized as Apollo Creed in the Rocky films, a role that brought him global fame and cemented his place in film history. He later showed his range in different genres, playing intense roles like Dylan in Predator and more lighthearted characters, such as Chubbs in Happy Gilmore. His career expanded into television as well, including appearances in Arrested Development and later into the Star Wars universe as Greef Karga in The Mandalorian, where he earned critical appreciation and award recognition. Carl Weathers passed away at the age of 76 due to complications related to heart disease. His life reflected a steady transition from professional athlete to respected actor, leaving behind a legacy marked by strength, versatility, and a calm but powerful screen presence that continues to be remembered. Betty Halbreich, born Betty Ann Samuels on November 17, 1927, built a remarkable life in fashion defined by honesty, resilience, and personal transformation. She became widely known for her long career at Bergdorf Goodman in New York, where she worked as a personal shopper and later as director of solutions. Over the years, she went beyond styling clothes, becoming someone clients trusted for advice during important life changes, offering guidance that blended practicality with empathy. Her philosophy was straightforward. Clothing should reflect who a person truly is rather than follow passing trends. This honest approach made her a respected figure in the fashion world, admired for her directness and understanding of people. In 2015, she shared her journey in her memoir, I'll Drink to That, A Life in Style with a Twist, which became a bestseller and revealed both the glamorous and difficult moments of her life, including personal struggles and independence. She passed away at 96, with her cause of death not publicly disclosed, leaving behind a legacy of authenticity and care that continues to inspire how people think about style and self-expression. Arnold Schwarzenegger's life feels like something written for cinema rather than real history. He started in a small Austrian village where opportunities were limited and expectations were strict. Nothing about his early environment suggested global fame or political power. Yet, what makes his journey remarkable is not just success, but transformation across completely different worlds. He moved from bodybuilding to Hollywood to public office, each time reinventing who he was without losing his core drive. His story is not simply about fame or success, but about discipline, identity, and the belief that a person can constantly rebuild themselves. It shows how persistence, vision, and resilience can reshape even the most ordinary beginnings into an extraordinary life trajectory that spans continents and industries. Childhood and early instability. Arnold Schwarzenegger's early life in post-war Austria was shaped by a very strict and emotionally restrained environment. Growing up in a small village, he lived in a household where discipline was valued far more than comfort or emotional expression. His father enforced rigid expectations, and life at home often felt controlled rather than nurturing. There was little room for softness or open emotional communication, which meant Arnold learned early to observe rather than express. This kind of upbringing can easily create withdrawal in some children, but in his case, it created a different response: internal strength. He developed a habit of pushing through discomfort rather than escaping it. Competition with his brother also played a role in shaping his mindset, as comparison and rivalry were part of daily life. While difficult, these conditions unintentionally trained him to tolerate pressure and seek control in environments where he had none. Instead of seeing hardship as something personal, he began to see it as normal, discovering performance and identity. When Arnold discovered bodybuilding, it became much more than a sport. It became a way of constructing identity. In a life where many things felt controlled by others, training gave him complete ownership over his progress. Every workout was measurable, visible, and directly tied to effort. That sense of cause and effect was powerful for him. Unlike school or family expectations, bodybuilding rewarded consistency rather than obedience. He started to see his body as something he could sculpt, and that idea extended into how he viewed his future. The gym became a space where he could mentally escape limitations and replace them with possibility. Over time, the discipline of training gave him structure, and that structure gave him confidence. He wasn't just building muscles, he was building belief in himself. Each physical improvement reinforced a psychological shift. He was not stuck in the identity he was born into. Instead, he could actively shape who he was becoming. Moving to Los Angeles and early struggles arriving in the United States was one of the most challenging transitions in Arnold's life. Even though he had already achieved success in Europe, in America, he was essentially starting from zero. Language barriers made everyday communication difficult, and cultural differences often left him feeling like an outsider. He also had to adapt to a completely different competitive environment in bodybuilding, where expectations and standards were higher. Financial instability added another layer of pressure, as success in competitions did not immediately translate into financial security. Instead of feeling discouraged, he treated this phase as a learning period. He observed, adjusted, and slowly adapted his approach. What stood out most during this time was his patience. He did not rush validation. He understood that reinvention takes time, especially in a new country. Each setback became information rather than failure. Over time, this mindset helped him build resilience in unfamiliar environments. Breaking into the entertainment industry, Arnold's transition into acting was not immediate success. It was a gradual process filled with skepticism from others. Many people in the film industry doubted whether he could succeed as an actor due to his strong accent, muscular physique, and unconventional presence. He was often typecast before he even had the chance to perform. However, instead of resisting this perception, he used early roles as learning experiences. On set, he paid close attention to how actors used timing, body language, and emotional control to tell stories. Rather than trying to imitate traditional acting styles, he developed his own approach based on physical presence and controlled expression. His strength became part of his performance identity rather than something he needed to hide. Over time, audiences began to respond to this uniqueness. He brought a new kind of energy to action films, less about dialogue and more about presence and impact. What initially seemed like a limitation eventually became his signature strength. Early fame and public recognition. As Arnold's bodybuilding success grew, he began to attract global attention. Winning major titles placed him in the spotlight, and his personality made him stand out beyond just physical achievement. He was confident, charismatic, and intentional about how he presented himself. However, fame also introduced complexity. Public recognition created expectations that extended beyond competitions, turning him into a symbol rather than just an athlete. This shift meant he had to think carefully about how he carried himself in public spaces, interviews, and media appearances. He began to understand that visibility is not just about attention, it is also about responsibility. Every action contributed to shaping his long-term reputation. Instead of resisting this, he learned to manage it strategically. He became aware that perception could be influenced through consistency, communication, and presence. Personal and professional partnerships. Throughout his rise, Arnold formed important relationships that played a key role in his growth. These partnerships provided guidance, opportunities, and access to new environments that would have been difficult to reach alone. However, they also required balance. Working with others meant learning to navigate differing goals, expectations, and personalities. Not every partnership was smooth, and some required negotiation and compromise. Through these experiences, he learned that collaboration is both an advantage and a responsibility. Trust became an important factor in deciding whom to work with and how far to rely on others. He also realized that while partnerships can accelerate success, they can also influence direction if not managed carefully. This taught him to maintain a sense of independence even within collaborative settings. Over time, he became more selective about the relationships he invested in, focusing on those that aligned with his long-term vision. These experiences shaped his understanding of success as something built both individually and collectively, but always requiring personal clarity and control over direction. Struggle for independence. As Arnold matured in his career, a strong desire for independence began to shape his decisions. He no longer wanted to rely heavily on external guidance or limited roles defined by others. Instead, he sought control over how his career developed, including the types of projects he accepted and the way he managed his public image. This transition did not happen instantly. It developed through experience and reflection. He began prioritizing long-term vision over short-term gain, even if it meant turning down opportunities. Independence became more than a professional goal. It became part of his identity. It represented self-determination and ownership of his life path. This shift also required confidence, as taking control meant accepting both responsibility and risk. Over time, he learned to trust his own judgment more than external opinions. Career reinvention and evolution. One of the most defining aspects of Arnold Schwarzenegger's life is his ability to constantly reinvent himself. After establishing dominance in bodybuilding, he did not limit himself to that identity, even though he could have remained a lifelong champion. Instead, he deliberately shifted into entirely new fields, first acting, then business, and later politics. Each transition required him to start again at a level where he was not yet established, which is something most people avoid after achieving success. What makes his reinvention unique is not just the number of industries he entered, but the mindset behind it. He treated each new field as something learnable, rather than something he had to be born into. This allowed him to adapt quickly, study environments, and understand how success worked in different systems. Rather than fearing change, he seemed to rely on it as a source of growth. Over time, reinvention became part of his identity. Expansion into film and television, Arnold's journey into Hollywood marked a major turning point in his life. At first, the film industry did not fully accept him. Many critics and casting directors saw him as too different from traditional actors, especially because of his accent and physical presence. He was often viewed as limited in range, suited only for specific types of roles. However, he did not try to completely change himself to fit expectations. Instead, he leaned into what made him unique. He learned how to use silence, movement, and physical expression as part of his acting style. Over time, this approach created a new kind of screen presence, one that did not rely heavily on dialogue, but on impact and charisma. Audiences responded strongly to this difference, especially in action films, where presence mattered as much as words. His roles gradually became iconic, and he helped redefine what an action hero could look like. In mainstream cinema, rather than blending into Hollywood's existing mold, he reshaped part of it. Business success and creative control. Beyond bodybuilding and acting, Arnold Schwarzenegger expanded into business and investment, applying the same discipline that defined his earlier success. He approached business decisions with long-term thinking rather than short-term excitement. Over time, he became involved in areas such as real estate, production, and various entrepreneurial ventures. What set him apart was his willingness to learn the fundamentals of each new field. Instead of relying solely on fame, he studied how wealth is built and maintained, and gradually developed a strong sense of financial independence. This allowed him greater creative control over the projects he chose, as he was not fully dependent on acting roles for income. Business also gave him stability beyond the entertainment industry, ensuring that his career was not tied to a single profession. More importantly, it reinforced his identity as a strategic thinker, someone who builds systems rather than just participates in them. This phase of his life demonstrates how discipline and long-term planning can extend success far beyond the original source of fame. Legacy and cultural impact. Arnold Schwarzenegger has left a legacy that spans far beyond any single field. Very few public figures have successfully influenced sports, entertainment, and politics at such a high level. In bodybuilding, he helped elevate the sport into global recognition and inspired generations to pursue physical transformation. In film, he redefined the modern action hero, proving that charisma and physical presence could be just as powerful as traditional acting techniques. In politics, he demonstrated that a figure from entertainment could transition into governance and public service. His broader cultural impact lies in the idea of reinvention itself. He became a symbol of discipline, persistence, and self-made transformation. Many people see his life as proof that identity is not fixed and that long-term vision can reshape entirely different stages of life. Even those who do not follow his careers directly often recognize his story as motivational. His legacy is not just about success, but about the belief that a person can continuously evolve, adapt, and redefine what is possible across multiple lifetimes of achievement.